Today we're going to talk about ladder stitch. So ladder stitch is used to join two pieces of fabric together. This one is the one where there isn't any piping involved. This one is the one where the piping is already machined to one side of the fabric. And this one is where the piping is tacked or stapled to one side of the fabric. And you'll find when you're doing chairs, there's different circumstances when all three could be used. We use a curved needle to do it. So you can buy curved needles from various places. This is a 3-inch 19 gauge needle, which is about the largest that you'd want to use. I've also got here a 2.5 20 gauge, which is the one that I would use mainly. And then there's a very small one, which is 2 inches, also 20 gauge, which you might use on very small areas where you need to do very small stitches. So we start off with the needle thread and we put a knot in the bottom of the thread. And then we go to the board here, and we're going to put the needle in to the back of the fold fabric, so the knot can disappear. So the other thing I need to show you is how to join this with pins. So these are, before you start, you need to join these with pins. So if you put the pin into the fold and fold it over, you get a nice tight join there this isn't going to move about. If you try and put the pin in sort of like that, it tends not to be quite so tight. So this will give you the tension to pull it over and get it the way you want it to be before you start. So I've got my thread already in the with a knot on the back. So I'm going to pull the thread across at right angles and put the needle in just behind the thread, and then do a stitch of about 1 centimetre in the base fabric. And we pull it very tight, and the tighter you pull it, the more the stitch will disappear, so you can't see that thread at all. There are different colour slip-in threads. I'm using white so it shows up well, but I do also have navy, so if I was doing this professionally I would be using navy thread. So we then pull the thread across the other way and put the needle in just behind into the fold. And again, pull it tight. When you're putting the needle in, you don't want to try doing it like this, because it's quite difficult to be accurate. If you put the needle in at almost at a right angle, so it's pointing down, and then turn it, it's easier to do it and you get a better finish. So again, across, I've got an old bit of thread there that's poking through. You pull across, you go in about 1 centimetre, and you carry on going along like that. And the tighter you pull it, the better it is. Right, so the next one along is the one with the piping already sewn, and I've actually started this one off. This one is probably the easiest one to do, because you're getting the stitches underneath the piping. So the thread there is coming out in the piping side, so then I've just got to go again just slightly behind the thread and come out and pull it tight. I'm using the very small needle here, so my stitches tend to be a bit smaller. The stitch in the piping side goes into the back of the piping, just above the machine line. So even if you do that not quite so accurately, your stitches aren't going to show so much. Let me just show you. If I put the needle in a bit in advance of the thread, so if I pull the thread across like that and put the needle in front of it, you can see the thread. I mean, like I say, with the piping covering it, it's not so important, but you can still see that thread. If you put the needle in too far behind, so I'm going quite a long way behind there, as an exaggeration, it will tend to pucker up. So you get this sort of puckering look there, which you also don't want. So, but as I say, it's not, you don't have to be quite so accurate on this, but if you do go wrong with it, it doesn't give quite such a good finish. So the last one is the one where the piping is tacked or stapled to one side. I'm putting the knot in the bottom again, and get the needle in to the fold. Just come, and then you put the needle straight through the piping, like that, just straight through, tight. And then you do your stitch in the back again going slightly behind the thread, about 1 centimetre. And then you come back and go straight through the piping again. So you're trying to go at the same level as where the thread is coming out of the fabric, and you're going straight through. And then you come in slightly behind the thread again and into the fold. Back, straight through the fabric, and so on. Again, the piping does cover some of the stitches here, so see, you can't see the stitches at all there. And once you get into a nice rhythm, you can do a few stitches. If you get a bit of confidence, you can do a few stitches before you pull it through, and that speeds you up a bit. Depends how important to you speed is. But if I'm doing it professionally, I tend to go do a few stitches and then pull it all through at once. I might even do 4 or 5 stitches and pull it all through. But there you go. That's your 3 different ways of doing ladder stitch.